Peter King suggested in yesterday's Football Morning in America that the 49ers possibly have warmed to the idea of trading Jimmy Garoppolo during the draft after they pick their next quarterback. If so, need to sell Jimmy G a little more aggressively to other suitors and not focus on the injury history. Kyle Shanahan did that yesterday. Here he is talking about Jimmy G.
Biggest thing with Jimmy is his injuries. It's been very tough for us when he's been hurt, and and it's happened 2 out of these 3 years. And that's where it starts. And Jimmy knows that. I've been very upfront with him with everything. And, we've been Zooming these last 2 weeks. I'm excited to get him in here coming up, especially when this draft's over. But I feel very fortunate taking a rookie quarterback that we do have a guy like Jimmy. We didn't sign a guy who's capable or has the history of being a starter right away. Well, we have a guy who every time he's been a starter, he's played at a high level. So to have that with Jimmy while adding a rookie quarterback gives us a lot of leeway into this. I'm not going to set anything in stone, but I know that's a situation that it would be hard to get rid of. I mean, when you take a rookie quarterback and you have a veteran like Jimmy, who we know we can win with, just to move on from that is something that it's not easy to do. That is a good situation for us, and I think that's something that will be important to us this year.
We have to view those comments through the lens that there is a strategic component to everything.
Definitely.
And they would like to get a return for Jimmy G. The question is, when do you get it? Do you get it now? Do you hold on to him and hope that there's a fluke quarterback injury in late August like the Vikings had in 2016, where that opened the door for the Eagles to get a first-round pick and a fourth-round pick for Sam Bradford, who supposedly was their Week 1 starter while the rookie Carson Wentz sat on the bench. Look, Chris, I don't care how it falls. When we're gonna witness how it falls, I can't imagine the 49ers ultimately paying Jimmy Garoppolo $25 million this year. I think that if whoever they draft checks the boxes, passes the smell test, looks the part, we get to late August, they're going to go to Jimmy and they're going to say, hey, Jimmy, we can't pay you $25 million this year. We need you to cut $10 million off, or we're going to release you before Week 1, and you're going to become a free agent with no takers, with no options, with no spots to get yourself properly ensconced so you can play this year. So if you want to be the starter Week 1,
right,
you got to take $10 million less right now.
Yeah, there's a lot of interesting things about this little aspect of this whole trade to number 3 pick and all of these type of things. I mean, first off, they're a team that I believe views themselves as a Super Bowl team. I mean, John Lynch started off the press conference by I think we have a pretty good football team here. We got good depth, and I know we got to stay healthy and all that. So that's where I get back into, I don't know, do you keep a guy like Jimmy G to be the backup quarterback just in case? Something like that? My original thought or my heart goes no, because I just think it's going to cause more problems like we've talked about, when the trade was first made and all those type of things. Then I guess the next aspect is just, when does it go down? When do you try to trade him, right? Do you try to do it now while teams are the most desperate this weekend? Or do you kind of take the approach kind of like you said? I think there's got to be a little bit of hey, first, whoever we draft, let's make sure he gets in here and doesn't crap the bed, right, for lack of a better thing to say.
Or lives.
Right,
make sure
or
lives,
right. So we know he'll be the quarterback. Right,
alive.
So you do that and all that. But then, I would think you'd start – if you check all the boxes and, okay, whoever it is, Lance, Jones, whatever, okay, hey, they came in, they had a few good practices, they belong to be here, we're good. I would think that's when you try to trade Jimmy G. I mean, that would be my 2 cents there. And you're right, Mike. I go back to that contract. I'm with you there. I don't think they're going to be able to trade him unless they fix that contract. That would be my 2 cents on that situation to go along with it as well.
It's the Trent Brown dynamic which confused the hell out of me when the Patriots traded for Brown early in free agency and the Raiders got something for him and Brown took less. It's the balance between going somewhere now. You know how this movie's going to end, and I know how this movie's going to end. It's going to end with Jimmy G getting cut Labor Day weekend potentially, if not sooner. So you take less now. You go to a new team now. The 49ers get a reasonable return now.
Right.
and they move forward without the concern that George Kittle, Raheem Mostert, this guy, that guy, that guy, that guy shows up with their team Jimmy G shirts, T-shirts on when it's time to report to training camp. That's what you want to avoid, that split of opinion. And Chris, here's the other side of it. Yeah, they got a great team, okay? They got a great team.
Yeah.
Super Bowl ready. Super Bowl ready. So let's go with the guy we have. Then why the hell did you give up all that stuff to go get some quarterback that we're going to find out who it is? It isn't even one guy. It's potentially three guys. How do you strike that balance? You're either all in with the new guy who presumably will be able to play more than 10 games in a given year, or you're going to ride this to its conclusion with Jimmy Garoppolo. Because otherwise you just go get a good backup quarterback for Jimmy Garoppolo. Peter said that yesterday. They can't afford to go into the season with, one quarterback injury away from disaster like they've been.
Right.
Then just keep Jimmy G and go get a better backup. Don't give up 3 first-round picks and a third-round pick to get the guy who may or may not play this year.
Well, I think they're telling you either way. They've had it with Jimmy G. I mean, the writing's on the wall there. I mean,
then how can you play him? That's my point.
Well,
if you've had it with him, how can you put him on the field?
Well, I don't think ultimately they will. The scenario I'm talking about is him being the backup quarterback. I mean, so you're right, Mike. I mean, all the points. I'm not arguing you here. I'm with you all the way. I mean, yes, if I'm running the 49ers or telling Kyle Shanahan or talking to him, I'm going, no, at some point, get rid of Jimmy G and bring somebody else in there to be the backup that won't be as controversial and divide the locker room and do all the things that you've mentioned. I mean, I think you're spot on. You're no doubt about it. But he is a good quarterback. He is a starting quarterback. And I think, the goal has to be at least to get something from him, right? I'd be pissed off if I'm Shanahan or Lynch and we get to training camp and I'm like, what? We're going to have to cut him? We didn't get anything for him? That would be disappointing. And we have teams right now that we know have some quarterback wants and needs out there too. And that's where I just come back to your main point, Mike, the contract. Hey, Jimmy G, does he want to go back to New England and maybe have a chance to play there against Cam Newton? Well, Bill Belichick isn't going to pay him $25 million a year, right? I mean, there's just no way. He's not going to do that and upset the locker room between
10,
Cam and – right.
Most. 10 at most.
I'm with you. So there's that one. So, okay, Jimmy G, if you want to play, you're going to have to lower it to go to New England. I don't know. You talk about, the other teams that jump out to me, Mike. We've talked about the Broncos. I don't know if they'd do that either to want to pay 25. I have a hard time. And then there's the Texans and the Bears. So you got 4 teams out there to me as a base fan guy that does this that I look at that go, I think you could legitimately call these teams and strike up a conversation, and they might have some legitimate interest in a Jimmy G.
Yeah, I don't disagree with that, and that may be where it's all headed. You can't put him on the field week one. To get back to the original point, this mess that they've kind of accidentally created for themselves with who they're going to take at that 3rd overall pick, whoever you do pick now, and then if you put Jimmy G on the field week one and he stays healthy, and he runs that offense.
Right.
Not because of any special high-end Tom Brady skills he has.
Yeah.
But because it's Kyle Shanahan's
they're
offense.
Good, right. Yeah.
And then they get rolling like they did in 2019.
Right.
And meanwhile, the 2 guys you didn't take are starting.
Right.
And playing well.
Right.
The guy you gave up all that stuff to get is stuck on the bench behind Garoppolo. September becomes October. It's 2019 all over again.
Yeah, all of a sudden they're 8-2, and you're like, what do we do here? Right.
What did we do? We gave up 3 first-round picks and a third-round pick when, hey, our guy was Jimmy Garoppolo. We just needed to give him a chance. We just needed, it was fluke injuries. Stuff happens. He's not inherently fragile. It just kind of happens. It can happen to anybody. It's football at the highest level. Guys get injured, and then you get swept up in that. And then what do you do? Especially if you end up having another team that gets to the Super Bowl and doesn't win it.
No.
Let's say they get there and they don't win it.
Yeah.
What the hell do you do next year?
Yeah.
What do you do?
I'm with you, Mike. I mean, that was one of my points way back when, right, about why you can't keep them, just because that's a scary scenario. They're a good team. Shanahan's awesome on offense, like you said. He can put a lot of they stay healthy. You can put a lot of quarterbacks in football there in San Francisco. They're going to win some games and look good. So, yeah, that would be like the worst thing that could happen. Keep Jimmy G. He plays. Or even, let's just say, similar, same thing, too, where, okay, the rookie does start week one and gets a high ankle sprain, and now he's hurt. Now you got to go to Jimmy G. and now they run off, let's say, 9 out of 10 games. You're not going to bench them, and now we're going to do a playoff run, and like you're going to have all that controversy there. That you're right, Mike. I'm with you. I think it's way too dicey to keep him on the roster, and I would expect that between now and really the end of OTAs that there's going to be, dialogue with a lot of teams concerning Jimmy G.
That's the other risk they're taking. They don't know which of these guys from the 2021 quarterback draft class is going to be injury prone at the next level. You don't know until you put him at the next level and he starts getting hit by next level guys.
Yeah, that's right.
You just don't know.
No.
Sam Darnold's had injury issues. He's the guy of the ones taken in 2018 that has that big red flag over whether or not he's durable and can play. Of course, the mono was one of the reasons, but still availability.
Yeah.
Availability. And here, I guess to tie the two threads together, this mystery at number 3 and the mystery of Jimmy G. The fact that they've embraced the mystery at the top of the draft makes it even more imperative that they get Jimmy G the hell out of there so they can go all in with whoever they end up picking. They cannot afford to not go all in, Chris, with that guy after showing up at the showroom and saying, we came for the Ferrari, but we really like the other 2 cars, and we're probably going to leave with the Ferrari, but we really like the other 2 cars. There's a disconnect between football and business. You can't ignore the business side of it. You can't piss off your customers. You have to take that into account. This gets back to the social media point. I'm not saying be influenced by social media, but, man, you have to find a way to present these things to your fans in a way that minimizes the chances of a revolt. And the way this is playing out, depending upon how they make these moves, they could find themselves in a mess with their fan base if some stuff happens.
Yeah, no doubt.
Other than people dying before Sunday.
Yeah.
And hopefully we'll all be here by Sunday. But that it's very risky. And I wonder, Chris, when you consider all the personalities.
Yeah.
And all the brains, you put them all together. I wonder if they've really thought this through to the level that this discussion takes it. Have they really thought it through? They got a lot of stuff to do. They're busy. They got a bunch of players to scout. Things take on a life of their own. I wonder if they really thought through the mess they potentially are walking right into.
I would have a hard time, I don't want to twist my words here. I would have a hard time thinking they didn't do their really due diligence, thought this through. Again, I don't know the specifics behind all of these conversations. I can tell you that I've been around the Shanahan family a lot. I've been around Kyle and Mike a lot. It's always football. They're always talking. And, of course, quarterback is their big topic of conversation always too. No matter what organization they've been in, no matter what the time. I've known them since the time it was the end of the John Elway to the start of the Brian Griese era. That's when I met them. So I would have a hard time thinking this wasn't really well thought out. And I think really at a base level, it was still one guy that was in mind the whole time. But let's go to the store, like you said, and just make sure everything's good with all these other cars. And, hey, let me test drive a few of the other ones just to make sure the one I really wanted is the one I really wanted. And I think that's where we're back to here, I think. And we'll see where it goes.
Hi, I'm Mike Tirico, and thanks for watching. Make sure to hit subscribe for the latest news and highlights from NBC Sports.